And so in today's video, we are going to be switching things up a bit, and I'm going to be talking about my testimony. So that should be pretty interesting. And I just pray we don't need to pull out the Kleenex because I could see how this will get real very quick. But we're just gonna get right into this, jump right into it. And just starting off just with a general overview. So growing up, I was an only child. I grew up in a Christian home under Christian parents, right? And so I had that dynamic going on with my mom and my dad, and one thing I will say is when things were good with us, it was really good. But when things were bad, it was hella bad. And we argued a lot. We fought a lot, not like fist fight or anything, but I would throw like temper tantrums, like I mean the worst kinds, just licking and breaking things out of just sheer frustration and anger because I didn't know how to process it. And so we would just be going back and forth, just spewing just really ugly things at one another. And I just had all of this pent up anger on the inside of me, right? And one thing I want you guys to know that even as I'm talking about these things, my parents are wonderful people. They're wonderful people. I just have the highest regard for them. They are amazing. And so just want to get that out the way. But we have had our hardships and difficulties and very ugly moments, right? My parents are not the lovey dovey types. And so to say, expect them to always want to hug you, I mean, they'll hug me, but to say like that was just the inclination, it was not. You know, um, my mom and my dad worked. And so, there was that dynamic of being an only child where I felt alone. And there was just a lot of just loneliness going on the inside of me, right? And I had been born with, spirits of rejection, spirits of resentment, anger issues, low self esteem. I mean, the whole 9 yards, right? And even in school, I felt so unseen. I felt so unloved. I tried to fit in with everybody, basically in primary school or wherever I felt like someone would take me, right? Where they would recruit me. And so I would hang out with the wild gals, hoping that if I, you know, act more wild, that maybe they would accept me. And even them could see through my flam and my game. They could see that I wasn't truly about that life, right? It's so funny how people in the world could recognize who you are, and they could recognize the spirit of God on the inside of you. They could see straight through me that this girl, she ain't about this life. She just playing this thing, right? She ain't real about this thing. And so that didn't work out. Tried to hang out with what we would have called like the geeks and the nerds, even though ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with being intelligent, okay? Let's just get that out of the way. But I had, difficulties trying to fit in with them and different friend groups I would try to have fit in with. It was so much difficulty. I just felt so awkward, so socially awkward. I just felt so weird. I felt so unaccepted no matter how hard I tried, no matter how much I altered and changed my personality and who I was. I just didn't feel accepted, right? And, you know, it's so funny because later when I went into high school, right, I had such a rude awakening that just really just changed my whole world in a sense. When I was 16, I found out that I was adopted. And when I got this news from my adopted mom, um, we were on vacation and she told me that there was something that she wanted to tell me, but that she couldn't tell me right then and there. So she wanted to wait for the right moment. So, we went to this really nice beach and she sat me down. And it's so funny how she kind of framed this whole thing. She, before telling me what it was, she asked me, Krista, what do you think I want to talk to you about? And it's so funny how literally in that moment, see, prior, I had like so many thoughts running through my mind of what she could have told me. I thought, oh my goodness, God, I hope it ain't a terminal illness she about to tell me about, or I hope my daddy ain't do something wrong to her. I hope, I don't know what in the world this could have been. And so I went in kind of like with my heart pounding. But it's so funny how at the very moment she asked that question, out of all the things that I could have said, out of all the things that I was thinking about before and prior, you know what I said? I'm adopted. And she looked back at me, blank stare, and all she could have said was, yes. And you guys, when I found that out, I broke down. I started one piece of hollering. I sure people in Mars could have heard me. It was that bad. I had just felt like my whole life, my whole world had shattered. And just in a blink of an eye. And I was crying and I was sobbing so much, not because I hated my mom, not because I hated my parents. Matter of fact, that whole event just caused my respect for them and my regard for them to just skyrocket, because I'm like, these people literally were so selfless to take me in, some child who wasn't even their child, and raise me as their own, right? And so I wasn't crying because I was upset with them. I was crying because I felt like there was a part of me I did not know about. I felt like, my life was a lie and I did not know what was true and what wasn't true. And I don't know why this had to happen to me, how this could have happened to me, why my birth mother and parents didn't want me. Like all of these thoughts started to run through my mind, right? And so as me and my mom, my adopted mom, I call her mom because she's my mom, as we sat there, she comforted me, and somehow, someway, through the grace of God, we made it through that moment. But it's literally something that I will never forget. You can never forget that. And it literally just started just something on the inside of me, right? But it's important to note that while all of these things were happening, right, I was still struggling so much. I was still struggling so much with my appearance, with who I saw myself to be, with my identity. Now this, I'm adopted. Now there's a whole part of my identity I don't even know, right? And so all of these things are going on. And, you know, I had Jesus in my life. I knew him. I knew what he did. He died and he rose on the cross for my sins. I know all of these things. I was a Christian at that time, at a very young age. I got baptized when I was 12, I believe. So I knew all of these things. I knew right from wrong. But my life just still felt like it was in so much shambles because I did not fully surrender to this God. I did not fully put my life on the cross. I did not fully carry my own cross, right? And allow my flesh to be crucified and allow me to truly walk and live this Christian life out. I was literally one foot in the world and one foot out. I was very lukewarm, engaging in activities and with people that I should not have been engaging with. And so, even while I was still in high school, you know, I was making some very dumb decisions. I got my heart broken. I upset a whole lot of people. And I had just reached rock bottom around this time when I was about 16, 17, up and there, right? So found out I was adopted and then just making a bunch of dumb decisions and all of these things, right? And like I said, I hit rock bottom, and it wasn't until I hit rock bottom, it wasn't until Krista came to the end of herself. Like, this is where she meets the end of the road. She's not trying to be something that she's not anymore. She realizes the futility of it all. When I began to realize that I needed to make a serious change, that the way I was living was not pleasing before God, it wasn't until I hit that hell hole, that rock bottom that I needed complete salvation from God for, that I began to take God seriously and really make him Lord over my life. It wasn't until I reached those moments of deep despair and heartbreak that I truly began walking with the Lord and truly began allowing his will to be done in my life. And so after that happened, literally the rest was history. Your girl was saved, right? I literally became so on fire for God. You know, I joined the Christian movement in high school. I was like, I gotta take this God seriously. I can't afford to be embarrassed or ashamed about him no more. And I just was like full steam ahead. Even when I graduated and I went to college, I got a part of the different Christian groups on campus, and we were repping Jesus so hard. I mean, I was just like a cannonball on fire. Literally, I was so ready to just go out and tell people about Jesus and what he was doing for my life. And I was just living and basking in the goodness of God. I was able to write a book. I was able to preach the gospel. I was able to see God mature the prophetic giftings that are on the inside of me. I was able to operate in them, right? And just see God just move in so many unexplainable and amazing ways. Why? All because I said yes. All because I decided to put my flesh to the side. I decided to die to myself. And I said, self, you cannot be my God. When I began to realize that I made a terrible God, when I started to realize that the things of this world, it made terrible gods, that was the moment I hit rock bottom, and I was able to turn my vision, turn my attention from the things of this world to the things of God. And listen, if he did it for me, he will certainly do it for you. You have to get to that point where you literally just sick and tired of being sick and tired. You just can't do this thing no more. You can't live another day going the way you're going. When you get to that point, that is literally the best position. It feels like garbage. It feels like you are in hell at the time. But really, it's a setup. That's the best place for you to be in order to have your life transformed by Christ. Because when you get there, you will have nothing else to lose. You done tried everything. You done been in and a part of every movement and every demonic thing, and you just tired. You saw it all, and you saw that it's all futile. You saw that it's all gonna fail you, that at the end of the day you were still lost. At the end of the day you were still broken. You still didn't know who you were. Even when you thought that you were finding yourself in all of these worldly carnal things, it still left you empty. And so what I'm trying to say here today, that if you are willing, to just give God your whole self. Give him your whole life. He will take whatever you give him and he will make it blessed. He will make it turn around. He will make it to thrive and to be alive again, that the dead places of your life would begin to come back to life again when you give your life to the Master. And so take my story as an encouragement. When you see me up here talking so boldly for God, it's not because I have it all together. It's not because I never experienced deep trials and deep tribulations and a lot of crap. It wasn't because I did not go through a lot of despair and tragic situations. I had my share, but it was because I allowed the Lord to soften my heart. My heart became softened because the hardness and the callousness that happens when you're in the world where you don't want to hear about God, when you don't want to do what he wants you to do, all of that falls away when life breaks you. It breaks the callous. It breaks everything on the inside of you that does not want to listen. And you being broken to the point where all that's left is such a wounded, battered, and beaten soul. The thought of Christ is literally your only hope. And I just pray that from this testimony, that some spark would be lit in your life for you to realize how much you need God, how much you can't do life without him. I know I couldn't have. I failed every step of the way. Everything was going wrong because I did not truly walk in the ways of God. And you might be asking yourself too, why does it seem like everything is going wrong? Could it be that you're not truly taking God seriously? Could it be that you're living one foot in the world and one foot supposedly with God? Could it be that you need to get serious about the things of God? And so, thank you so much for joining my TED Talk. Man, I'm surprised I did not cry because I thought I was going to cry earlier, but man, your girl toughen up again. Like, what? Can't touch me. But thank you all so much for joining, and God bless you all. I just pray that this was just such a blessing to you all, and that it ministered to some area of your life. And I just pray that you all have a wonderful and beautiful evening, morning, night, whenever you are watching this. In Jesus' name, amen. Take care, guys.